I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me today.
Well, for years when I go to Huntsville to teach and work with different offices, I've always noticed your billboards, your creative marketing. You definitely have such a presence in your area.
Well, billboards are, I guess our claim to fame, but there's so much fun things that you can do with them, especially with the digital billboards. We always like to have fun with those. And obviously, not as many people are seeing them now with the COVID-19 going on, but we're definitely brainstorming on the next idea for sure.
Well, at least when you have that mind share and that market share, you don't have to work so hard to stand out later. You've been
Mhm.
building that up for years. So, there's one of my clients right there. He was just calling me. And Gusty Gullis is going to be joining us here shortly. We're waiting for him to hop on this conversation. So how long have you been selling in Huntsville?
Yeah, I've been selling in Huntsville. I think we're just talking. I was trying to calculate in my head about 10 years. I've been building my real estate team for about the last 7 years, and I know we just kind of talked here briefly a minute ago as well. That about Howard Tager. Howard Tager is the guy that really got me started in terms of building a real estate team about 7 years ago. So we went from me, myself, and I to about 50 or so transactions per year to last year, we did about 1,100 with a team of over 50.
That's exactly what was going to be my next question. So 1,100 sides, right? 1,100
Yes,
people helped.
that's right.
And you said, how many people do you have?
We have
And
a team of over 50 now.
okay.
Yeah, about 55.
Huge. That's fantastic. And so how do you manage such a large, group of people, getting everybody in the middle of a chaotic transaction?
A couple of things. We really look at the real estate transaction into kind of three parts. You have the first part, which is the marketing part. That's that billboard part. And then the middle part is what our agents typically enjoy doing, or that's what they're designed to do, which is work belly to belly with clients on the buyer sell side. And then you've got the other side of a transaction, which is contract to close. And so we break the transaction up into those three parts. But how you kind of orchestrate that I guess one day I woke up and I realized I had 20 people reporting to me, and that was way too many. And that is way too much for a single individual. And so what we've done is we've broken ourselves up into teams within teams. And so for every 4 to 5 team members on our team, you'll have a team lead. And so that really breaks down the leadership and allows me to focus on, my 4 to 5, hold them accountable, encourage them, and then they then can hold, their 4 to 5 accountable and encourage them as well.
Gusty works very similarly
Yeah.
to that. So whenever he hops on, he'll be able to. I'm looking to see if he sent me a message, but I don't see it. But which helps him. They close over 400 transactions a year, so
Mm-hmm.
they'll be working up to your level.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to help them too.
That's so kind of you. You got to be a wealth of knowledge closing 1,100 transactions in a year. So, what are some of the what do you feel are your best marketing ROIs? What do you get the best return on?
Well, you'd mentioned earlier, you'd asked about billboards. So people always ask about that, and I always get concerned for other real estate brokers and agents that try to copy and emulate what we do with the billboards, because they don't really understand the principle and how those work. Basically, billboards are at the end of the day kind of a break even type number, but what they do is they help rise all the other ships. And so what you really want to do first is focus on the highest return on investment advertising, like web leads, open houses, sphere of influence. And then as you mastered that and you're getting a good return, that's where billboards and mass media, whether it be billboards, radio, TV, just becomes an amplifier on all the other business that you're doing. It helps you convert more past clients into referrals. It helps you convert more web leads. It helps you, convert more open houses. So you definitely want to do it in that order and not jump directly into billboards, because again, at best, if you're doing it well, it's going to be a break even number at worst, if you skip the process, you can lose your shirt on it, honestly.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I always tell a new agent, don't start with that. You have to have some experience behind you and some people to know who you are so that it helps leverage your position. And now you're into a place that is where you're inescapable. So those billboards help you, you said it beautifully. Brings everything else up with you, all your other efforts. About how many billboards do you have right now?
Oh, a ton. I mean, we have multiple digital billboards, static billboards all over town.
Well, and you also have a very captivating message, the ones that I've seen before. So, do you change the message out, or do you keep your guaranteed sale? Or
what we found is a typical market. So we have both static and we have digital billboards. The great thing about digital is you can change them on the dime, which is really, really valuable in a time like this with COVID-19, where literally we've had to change our marketing messages probably 3 times in the last four weeks. So digital is definitely come into play, but typically in an average period of time, our goal is to update those monthly. That's about the shelf life of a digital billboard for us. And then the static billboards, we're looking at about a quarterly rotation. So every 90 days is typically what we found. So we track everything, and what we've seen is after 90 days, those billboard leads start to fall off because, people have just seen them so much.
Well, yeah, I can understand where the message would be looked over. I mean, just like a yard sign that's been up for a while.
Right.
You
Exactly.
just forget that it's there.
You got to refresh it. Yeah.
So I love the idea of switching out sign writers and, making it funny. And I just put a bunch of sign writers up that said, buy me and get a 12-pack of toilet paper free.
I love it. Yeah.
Now I got to make sure my supply lasts.
Yeah, I was about to say, make sure you're not over promising.
I know.
Yeah, I saw one on the internet the other day that is, basically the hand sanitizer is $350,000, but then you get the condo for free.
That's funny. Oh my God. I love when you can be funny, but sometimes funny can backfire. So, I'm such a sarcastic person that some people might not get it, but
yeah, exactly. I saw some folks that were doing those type of messages early on with COVID-19. And I was just like, part of me wanted to do it, but another part of me thought, somebody's going to take this the wrong way.
Right. I know. And you know what? That's such a good point. I got 2 phone calls yesterday from people just saying, are we really putting out the right message right now when we're talking about open houses and we're talking about, come by and let me show you this, and encouraging people to get out of the house? Is it irresponsible? And that's a question. We're all wanting everyone to know that the market is still going. Houses are still selling. But how do we do that responsibly?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think National Homeland Security of Defense, really provided great guidance on that as they issued real estate as, essential service. And I was reminded of that over the weekend as, we were serving a lieutenant at, one of the local police stations. And, he had to be out of his apartment by April 30th. And, he was bloodshot, red eyes, just stressed over where he was going to go as he's trying to serve our community during this time. And, just, stories like that just make us realize how essential of a service it is. Now, is it essential for everybody right now? Obviously, probably not.
Right.
And so, it's definitely a balancing act. You got to make sure you're providing 6 feet distance. You're taking every precaution available, and which is one of the reasons why, or exactly why, we came out with our virtual home buyer program on Friday, so that we could do everything from A to Z virtually for those clients that are practicing social distancing. Because I know you're in Alabama like we are, and everything that I'm reading is the next couple of weeks could be the hardest hit for our area.
That's true. The numbers are going up. And Gusty, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Gusty.
Hey, what's up, Matt?
Good to see you.
I had to I had to remove the app and re-download it. So glad to be on.
I know the feeling.
So,
Well, Matt was just sharing with
right.
us.
Sorry, I don't know where y'all are at. So I'll jump in a minute.
You're fine. He was just sharing with us they
I don't even see Genny, so I don't know what happened.
oh, you don't. He was showing.
Maybe we kicked Genny off.
No, I'm here. Can you hear me, Matt?
Matt, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear both of y'all.
No,
That's funny.
I just can't hear Genny.
Well, I'll go ahead and keep asking in that way if he wants to ask questions. We'll always work around all of this.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll repeat the questions that you ask. How about that, Genny?
Yeah, and you are already such a professional. So tell us more about how this virtual home buying process is working.
Well, we just, so the question, Gusty, was how this virtual home buying process that we launched on Friday is working. So we just launched it on Friday. But basically anything throughout the process we're looking to do virtual. So a lot of things that we're already doing, the virtual buyer consultations, the virtual listing consultations, doing the showings via Skype or FaceTime. Then the other thing is, we really pushed all of our listing agents to get out and get videos on all of their listings as well. So it was an easy button. Other agents, our agents were having to go back out to shoot those. They could just have those on demand. So that's one part of it. The inspections, obviously, they could always do those virtually. We do have contactless earnest money pickup now. So our runner will, kind of like if you order from Grub South, or the food being dropped off, or groceries at your doorstep, you can schedule a pickup window, and then he'll call you and say, hey, I'm about 5 minutes away, and you just leave a check on the front porch, and he'll come with his gloves and pick them up and make sure it all gets taken care of. Of course, inspections can be done virtually. Dot Loop is what we use. I know a lot of people use DocuSign. All that can be done digitally. And even the closing attorneys are doing a really good job with the Drivethru closings. And I don't know, to what extent they're doing that in your neck of the woods, but a lot of us are really trying to push for more of a virtual type closing experience, which I know there's a lot of apprehension towards it, but I think at the end of the day, that's what we're going to see.
I do too. I think it'd be better for us. I've got a drive-through closing on Wednesday. So.
Oh, awesome.
So
yeah, we've run into a couple of the drive-through closings, and I'm just happy that everybody's taking this seriously and just getting focused on. I mean, we don't want to get sick. We don't want our clients to get sick. So I appreciate everybody going above and beyond to figure it out and to practice safety. And so I know showing houses is completely different. Now going to a closing is completely different. So it's just kind of a business unusual.
Exactly. I'm so thankful for the attorneys. They're on the front lines and keeping this economic engine, moving, because we've got a couple of pandemics here. We've got COVID-19, but we've got an economic pandemic. We've got, stress and anxiety level pandemic. And, I'm so thankful for these attorneys keeping everybody working and keeping everybody moved into their new homes. They're doing a great job leadership wise, finding solutions for everybody.
Well, and Gusty, he shared with us a little bit ago about how last year he closed about 1,100 homes, and he's got a team of 50 to 60, right?
Yeah, about 55.
All right, and so
That's unreal.
It is, and Huntsville is such a great market, and you want to talk a little bit about what makes it such a great market.
Yeah, everybody loves Huntsville for, it's a really smart town, highest average PhD per capita in the U.S. A lot of engineers live here. A lot of new things were coming to the area. So hopefully this doesn't slow any of that down with the, trash pandas and everything that was going up around that. And, mid-city with, all the Top Golf and Dave & Buster's and, all the awesome things that are populating in our area. I think Huntsville's really been kind of like a best kept secret. I lived in Austin a little over a decade ago, and I kind of feel like Huntsville is, 10, 15 years behind where Austin was and trying to catch up.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
You can be a part of that growth.
Exactly. The area is definitely booming right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you've got so many jobs coming to your area and your market. We'd love to have as many jobs in Birmingham as being produced in Huntsville. So that's definitely helpful for y'all's market. Hey, one of the things that I'm interested in knowing is you have a huge presence on Google and generating Google reviews
Yeah.
and just in reviews, period.
Mm-hmm.
How are you able to generate those kind of reviews?
Good question. So it's basically what I tell my agents, my team, is just look for that moment of happiness. So anytime that you hear the word thank you, that's like the trigger word that I want to put inside our team's mind. Is anytime you provide 5-star service, and then when you get told thank you, then ask for a review. And so that's part of it. We have a client care team, and so after closing, they love on our clients and continue to call them. And if they haven't submitted a review yet, and they hear that word "thank you," they're going to ask for a review. The other thing that we do is we make it really easy. With Google reviews and Facebook reviews, you get this really, really long internet address. You send it over to your client, or the instructions can be a little confusing at times. And so we bought a branded domain that just basically they click on that website, and then it directly relinks them to the Google review or the Facebook review. So that's been a big help for us as well.
Excellent.
That's really smart. What as far as because there's so many review platforms, do you pick just one, or do you ask them to go on multiple sites, or have you seen any kind of best case scenarios for your team?
Yeah, so for our clients, we'll send them all three, and they can choose which platform they're on. If they're Facebook or Google or whatever it may be, sometimes you'll get multiple ones. But it's basically what works best for the consumer. And I think the big thing is we don't own any of these platforms. They can all go away tomorrow, which is a scary thing. And so we definitely want a presence on all three. It's funny. I was doing a webinar for somebody else just maybe a month or so ago, talking about how we had over 2,000 reviews or whatever it was at the time. And literally like 2 days later, Zillow decided to shut our account down.
Oh.
We weren't advertising with them, and I guess they didn't like it. And I'm not going to say too much because I'm still in conversations with them, and I hope that they're going to do the right thing. But at any moment, Google, Facebook, we don't own it. And it was really funny too. I don't know if you know Joshua Smith, GSD Mode podcast.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing a podcast with me on my podcast, and we were talking about reviews. And one of the things he said is, he forget all the other syndications out there because you don't own it. He really focuses on video reviews. And so that's one thing that we're really going to focus on going forward too, because at that point, that's something that you own. That's something that a platform can't take away from you, and you can remarket and do anything that you want to with it.
Yeah, I think that's smart too, and you get to see the personality of the client.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of all comes alive, and then people can kind of relate to the people that they see and hear.
Yeah.
But I mean, all reviews are good.
Exactly. To me, my favorite is Google, because it's free Google juice, right? As you're searching for real estate in Birmingham, Alabama, you're going to find Gusty there at the top of the reviews. It's free leads at that point. It's to me, it's two things. It's number one is it's free leads, and then number two is I coach a lot of basketball. It's kind of like an assist, because a lot of people, if it's a web lead, and let's say I'm Bob from Matt Curtis Real Estate, and I follow up with Gusty. Gusty's then going to look us up on Google and some of these other different platforms. And so after he sees that the type of service and the 5-star reviews that we have, then that helps me convert our Gusty as a web lead at that point as well. So not only does it bring in new business, but it helps convert existing business, our existing leads, or what we call relationships as well.
Well, and are you doing radio right now? We talked about billboards, but
We think billboards and radio are a great pair. Driving around town, listening to it on the radio, and then you see the billboards as well. Obviously, with radio, there's more streaming apps and different things that are coming out. So radio's probably going to become less and less a play going, down the line. But we love our local endorsers. I do think a lot of people still listen to local radio shows, and we get a return on investment from it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Genny, both Genny and I have done radio. I'm currently still doing radio. I don't know about you, Genny, but radio it just has, especially with everything that's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of folks are staying at home. They want that. A lot of folks may be just staying at home alone, and that voice that they hear on the radio might be something that they really need. So I think that radio listenership is going to increase. One of the things I thought was interesting is, how long have you been doing the instant offer program?
We've been doing that for, I guess, about 1.5 years now.
Okay. And so that really, especially in our market, instant offer really hasn't been something that's been at the forefront of what's going on in Birmingham. So could you tell us a little bit about instant offer, how it's been for your business?
Yeah, it's just another one of those different options. And so we want to be, the real estate company that provides the most options to our consumers. And so, basically we have 3 different options. We've got from one side, we've got the traditional sell, which is, the typical program. But, on top of that, we provide that 5-star service and everything else that we do. So you've got that on one side, and then you got instant offer on the other side, which is somebody that's just looking for a really quick, easy, painless process. They don't mind, accepting 93 cents on the dollar versus 100 cents on the dollar. They don't want to have to worry about showings. They don't have to worry about repairs. They want to pick their closing date. They may be facing foreclosure. They may be, relocating to California. There's a variety of reasons that our clients choose that. And what we found is, we as real estate agents, oftentimes we always assume that the consumer always wants the top dollar. Well, that's not always the case. Sometimes they want the most convenient transaction. And so that's the reason that we've provided that option. And we also came out with a solution kind of in between as well. So, for the consumer that's looking for top dollar, but they still have repairs that are necessary on the home. And so that's where our fix to sell program comes in. That's where we'll actually, put our money where our mouth is, and we'll actually, make the repairs, pay for the repairs up front, to get the home to top dollar, help them get the maximum amount of money out of that home.
I love this. My husband is a home builder, and I have been on him forever to say, this is where we need to go with it, because people are so overwhelmed when they go to put their house on the market. Just what direction, what do I do? What's important? What isn't important? Who do I call? How much is it going to cost? And it's so overwhelming. So I feel like that is such a huge need in the market. So kudos to you. I can't wait for him to see this. And then his name is Jay Williams, if he calls you.
Okay. Happy to talk to him.
Of course, his answer is, I can find free work. There's not a lack of it. So I'm excited for him to hear that somebody has found that. I just feel like it's such a need that, we need to be able to, as professionals, feel that need for people. So
people are busy right now. Some folks are strapped for cash. We've seen a lot of sellers that they could not sell their home because the carpet needed to be replaced and the paint needed to be repainted, but they didn't have the $5,000 or $10,000 to do that work. So that's where we come in. And then 2, I think people are just really looking for an easy button now. People really want, stress-free, be able to go on, press an easy button, and it's done.
And I love that whole easy button idea. I feel like we as professionals need to always try to make it easy for someone, easy to choose us, easy to go through the process and close on it and go on. Some people make it a lot more complicated than it needs to be.
Oh, absolutely.
So are you doing direct mail?
We are not doing direct mail. We have done some direct mail in the past. It's not something currently. You know, there's so many opportunities. You know, with virtual and web-based type advertising that we can do. Yeah, I guess call me a tree hugger, but I'm trying to save the trees.
Well, with having closed 1,100, you know, properties last year, your sphere of influence is huge.
Mm-hmm.
So I would imagine that you're putting a lot of effort into that.
Oh, we are. Yeah, definitely.
So
yeah, to me,
could you talk to us about what you're doing to you know, really reach out to your sphere? I mean, you're you know, with your billboards and the radio campaigns, you're generating a lot of interest, but you know, a lot of that you know, a lot of your business comes from the people that know you, your sphere, those referrals, the past clients. So how are you keeping in touch with these folks?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. So we're growing at about a 35 to 40% per year rate right now.
Wow.
For the last several years. And, you know, a lot of that's really been driven by marketing. And obviously in real estate, it's more of a relationship type business. And so we really feel like our best years are ahead of us as these clients are starting to mature and, you know, eventually turn over and buy and sell again and more referrals. So we really feel like we've done it the hard way the last couple of years with marketing. And so to stay in touch with our past clients, there's a whole slew of things that we do. We have a client care department that's all they do all day is follow up with our clients and offer value. We have, you know, at least a quarterly event once every quarter, whether it be a movie night where we rent out the movie theater, or, you know, for Thanksgiving, we get a pumpkin pie for everybody that wants a pumpkin pie on Thanksgiving. You know, the big thing is we talk to our clients, we say they're part of the MCRE family at that point, the Matt Curtis Real Estate family. And so what do families do? You know, families don't give, you know, closing gifts because that's like saying goodbye. You know, families will actually get together, right? And they'll celebrate holidays like Thanksgiving. They'll celebrate birthdays. And so we send out, you know, ice cream gift cards on everybody's birthdays for, you know, the rest of their lives. And so that's really what we focus on, you know, birthdays, holidays, outings for our clients. We do this thing called Lions Farms once a year, which is like a big pumpkin patch. And our clients just know us for that. And so we just want to, you know, basically hang out with our clients because they're part of our family.
Love that. I felt that's probably where a lot of your direction was going, towards your sphere of influence, and being able to capture that. I mean, even if you had a poor conversion at 1,100, you're still going to do really well with that.
All right. Yeah.
And so when were you able to add your agent care team?
We had client care, I guess. Yeah, I guess it's been about a little over a year and a half ago.
And so some of the other tools that you use, we talked about Lupo just a little bit ago. Mm-hmm. You're fairly new to that, right? But
we are, yeah. I've been, you know, Howard and I go way back. I owe Howard really so much in my business. He mentored me and was the one that, you know, encouraged me to go from just this, you know, single agent to the team that we have now. And literally, you know, I went to one of his conferences in Chicago about 7 or 8 years ago. And from that conference is where I created the playbook of what we're seeing today. So Howard's a great friend of mine, and always a, you know, big asset to Matt Curtis Real Estate. So I was excited that he's got Lupo and a successful company right now because we wanted to support him. And, you know, really too, from a business perspective, we had taken PPC and Facebook advertising in-house, and we had ran up against a wall. We couldn't, for whatever reason, we couldn't generate more leads. We hired other local companies to try to, we threw more money at it, couldn't generate any more leads. And lo and behold, I hired Howard, and he literally doubled our lead count overnight. And he was like, you know, I actually found out that I can, you know, produce more leads for y'all as well. And we're like, no, we told him to slow down. We couldn't handle them all right.
That's a good problem to have.
Exactly.
Great problem.
Exactly.
Especially when you have 50 to 60 team members saying, okay, where's mine?
Uh-huh.
So that, and I've heard nothing but wonderful things about the product, and I've gotten to see a lot of the back end stuff from some of the agents that I was coaching who were using it. So it really, I get to see the leads that were coming in every day on those. Good conversations, so real people, not your typical lead source. So
yeah, and he's got this mad scientist, they call him G. But he calls him the Elon Musk of real estate lead generation. And the guy is just amazing. Like some of the technology, like my background's in computer engineering. So just listening to him, I kind of nerd out on all the stuff that they're doing. They're decades beyond what anybody else is doing in that space.
So would you use that as your own system, or would you partner that with something else that you're working, or how are you really handling that?
Yeah, so most people, what they'll do, most agents, they'll go ahead and use the Lupo platform, and kind of funnel that out. I'd take that back. It's really not a platform. It's not really a CRM. What they'll use is they'll send that into like Follow Up Boss or Commissions Inc. or something like Boomtown. For us, we use Salesforce. And so we got on the phone with one of their engineers, and they did a custom integration to be able to funnel that in. Now, a lot of people use that as their website. We already had a website that we had invested a lot of money in. We're actually nationally ranked the last couple of years through RealTrends, the Matt Curtis Real Estate site. We had invested a lot of money with Real Estate Webmasters, and so we were happy with the branded site that we had, but we just wanted to produce more leads, and so we're kind of doing a hybrid of the two right now.
I think one of the last ones that I worked with was Lupo through Line's Desk, and
that
set up.
Yeah.
So, and I can't remember. I think he does exclusives per market, doesn't he?
He does. The inventory is what the inventory is, and so once it sells out, he's done.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So how many listings are you carrying right now?
Not enough. With this hot market, they're selling, the good news is they're selling really, really quickly. So it's hard to keep a high number of listings. I think we're like 78 or 79 right now. Last year, this time of the year, we were in like the 110, 120 range. It's just a really, really hot market.
It sure is. And how many, I think, I can't remember what you told me you had pending for April already.
Yeah, good question. I can pull it up here. Sorry, my other computer shut down. I'll pull that number up. I know it was 800,000 GCI. I want to say we were, around 100 or so pendings, like the low 105 or so pendings for April.
Which is fantastic.
I saw that just a few months ago, you had over 100 sales in 1 month. And that's just unreal. And especially February, it's one of your, not as busy months.
Yeah.
And so I can only imagine what your, spring and summer on a typical spring
right
would be.
Yeah.
So,
so I just pulled that number up, 106 pending for April, knock on wood. Yeah, everything continues on track for April.
That's fantastic. Congratulations on that. And for Gusty to say unbelievable is funny. Because most people
that's true. We've got 49 under contract for April.
That's awesome.
So we're waiting for that 100 mark.
You'll be there soon, but I mean, just like take a look at what you were obviously taking a look already at what Matt's been able to accomplish and the team.
Sure.
He works like you do as far as having team leads, so to have less to manage, so that more.
Yeah. What I would tell you, Gusty, is you've really done the hard work. What I saw is 250 to 300. That's kind of a plateau area. Once you break through that, 300 to 600 to 1,000 really is just kind of dialing things up, doing more and more of what you're doing. So you're on track. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, we've had 400 plus 3 years in a row. So I'm ready to bust it open.
Awesome.
Double it. So
that's right.
We were talking about the changes in, servicing our clients during this time, and maybe some possible changes that are going to stick through this? What do you feel is going to be the way to operate real estate after all of this is over and we get back to what somewhat normal is?
Yeah, things are definitely going to be different for sure. It'll be interesting to see, who's left standing, unfortunately after this as well. In our market, there was a rush of agents joining the market. I don't think you're going to continue to see that, which, is probably not a bad thing when, half of the MLS is selling between 0 to 2 homes per year. That's really just not a good service to the client. They're just not experienced enough to service that client, in our opinion. So I think that's one of the changes you'll see. I think one of the changes you'll see too is, consumers are going to really want to work with experts like Gusty and yourself. They're not going to want to work with their uncle's cousin, sister that just got licensed. In transitioning market, they're really going to want to go with the pros. So
I've
I think
already been seeing that this year. In conversations on listing appointments. Well, I've got an aunt, and also I've got, a niece, and also I've got, but they don't really take it seriously. Mm-hmm. So I need somebody who takes it seriously. So I've been hearing that already a lot this year, even in a really good market. Yeah,
I think you'll continue to see that trend. So I think, great agents like yourself, Genny, and great teams, Gusty, I think they're going to continue to thrive in those type of markets. And I really think, teams are going to be able to have the resources and the tools and the technology to provide what the clients are going to demand, after this. Once they've seen that you can do a drive-through closing and they can do a virtual home buying experience, that's what they're going to demand going forward. It used to be, when you got something from Amazon within a week, you thought that was fast. And now, if it's 2 days, you're wondering what happened to the order. And pretty soon it's going to be 2 hours.
I know. I expect when I hit enter for my doorbell to ring.
Uh-huh.
I have no patience.
Yeah, that's funny because I was having this conversation about Uber, and it's just like you have to wait. If you have to wait 4 minutes for an Uber, you're like, where is this person at? And so we've gotten really spoiled. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
I think it's so times like this just let people who have innovation stand out though.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And just to really see what people have. What can they think of? How can they take and see opportunity in the market to better take care of their clients and the process itself? So always interesting when things change and innovation is necessary. So it's just going to be exciting to see what comes out of it, I think.
Yeah, I've been telling people, and I've heard this several times, the Chinese word for crisis is both danger and opportunity. There's definitely a lot of danger here. I don't want to undermine that at all.
Right.
But there's definitely going to be a lot of opportunity as well. I've heard a lot of people say here recently too, don't ever let a crisis go wasted. Taking advantage of the opportunities that are before you. And, I think the other thing too is you look at any good story, you to have a hero, you got to have a crisis. And so people wait their entire lives to show up and lead and be a hero in the story. And this is our opportunity. I think leaders run into the fire, they run into the storm. And so I think the true leaders, whether it be in real estate or the medical field or whatever it may be, they're running into the fires right now, and they're serving, not only their clients, they're serving the community. And they're basically leading by example and finding ways to be solutions and then giving back, on those proceeds to their local communities. And so I think it's a huge, huge opportunity. I think people are so open to, leadership right now.
I agree. And people crave it
Mm-hmm.
for that direction and the innovation. How are you working right now with your teams? Are you doing Zoom calls weekly or? Oh. Well, it looks like we lost him for a minute. We'll see about him.
Well, how about this? I'll answer that while he comes back on.
Answer that.
Yeah, so I know we are doing. We have been doing daily huddles. Our senior team leaders are meeting with their teams, and they're doing daily huddles every morning. We, as a sales team, are meeting on Zoom weekly. We've even done a happy hour, and we had probably a little too much fun. But we've really made it an experience, and just really tried to make it as fun as possible. But we're trying to keep everybody engaged as much as possible. We've just trying to help out people that are in need, and we've had a few folks that were sick. Luckily, not with COVID, but just trying to help them out and encourage them, and offer to bring them whatever. So it's been fun to be in this virtual world, and really be able to create even a better culture. What I think we're creating a really cool culture virtually. So we're going to be trying something different tomorrow in our sales meeting. But it's just, we're trying new things, and we're adapting.
Well, and what Gusty was just sharing with us, Matt, was that he's been having a daily huddle on Zoom with his team. So how are you working with your team during all this?
Yeah, we're doing all the same things virtually, and so I think there's a couple of things. One, I think you all made a great move when you did to EXP. I think EXP will explode through this. I think they're designed for these times. And so for us, what we've done is we've sent the majority of our staff, minus the front desk, home. And what we found is a lot of people can work virtually now. It's not as scary as we thought it would be. Then actually they're probably more productive. Sometimes they're even more happy as well. And so, I think going forward, that's going to help us, one, reduce some of our overhead costs if we continue down that road and provide those options. We have 4 admin team members right now that are pregnant. They would love the opportunity to work virtually, once they have their baby. So that's one thing. And then I think the other thing too is it could allow us to not be limited based on geography for recruiting. And so we can find some great admin team members that are wanting to work from home that could be working from anywhere at that point. So I think that's a great opportunity. We won Best Place to Work last year, and I think it's just another one of those ways that we could provide, another avenue to be Best Place to Work for our community and for our company. And then the other thing that I'm finding is, my real-time job now is just to walk around the building on my phone, calling my team members. I was listening to Patrick Lencioni this morning, and he said during this time, you're never going to think, well, my leader just called me too much during that time. He was just way too clear. He just really wanted to check in on me and make sure my family was doing okay. And, he just way overdid the communication. You're not going to hear that.
No.
And so really that's what I've been doing, is just staying on the phone, over communicating with my team to make sure they have what they need.
Whenever I gave up my office space, and my marketing manager, who's still with me, had to come to the office every single day, and he was so unsure about being able to work at home. He is so much happier now, so much happier. And, he works strange hours, here and there, but like I'll teach in EXP World on Sunday nights. He has to be there with me, and he adds so much value to what I'm doing. So, he'll sleep in the next morning, or it just, we don't have to have these set guidelines anymore on how to get stuff done. And especially in our world, I mean,
Right.
We work when buyers and sellers need us.
Right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of real estate agents go into for the flexible schedule. Now, admin marketing can kind of go into potentially for a more flexible schedule as well.
That's right. My assistant is at home with a 4-week-old, and so she just now started, doing some things to help me again, but she can do that with 3 little ones at her feet, bless her. I don't know if she's doing anything actually, but especially taking care of this mess. So what are you seeing next? What are your goals to accomplish by the end of this year?
Well, our BHAG over the next really 10 years is, Jim Collins would call it the big, hairy, audacious goal is we want to sell 20,000 transactions per year.
Oh,
So that's our BHAG. Our next step on that.
That's a big BHAG.
So the next step is, 2,000. I really feel like we're tooled to do that. We're probably 1 or 2 hires away to get to the 5,000 mark, strategic hires. And we're already talking to some folks on that. And, once we get to that point, we'll look at taking it to the next level and hitting that 10 to 20,000 per year level.
Well, you are such a big thinker, and I have enjoyed this so much. You are just, I'm sad that I have not gotten a chance to meet you before now.
Well, thank you. Pleasure's definitely been all mine. You might call me a thinker. I'm just a real estate nerd. I love this stuff. So that's what I do.
I know exactly how you feel. It's a passion for sure. So, Gusty, do you have any other questions before we go? I mean, I think I could talk.
Yeah, one of the things. Yeah, one of the things I think is neat is one of the things you were talking about was having those long-term, huge, audacious, big goals, and like I remember. Just getting to that 100 mark. Mm-hmm. A lot of these folks that are watching this maybe just trying to get to 12 deals a year.
Oh yeah.
24 deals a year,
Mm-hmm.
And we as team leaders have these, we just start thinking big, and it's like, all right, we've hit 100. What do we do next? Let's hit 200. Now we go. And then we've seen, then I get surrounded by, I know people that are closing 1,000 units a year. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, all right, well, I can push myself. And so I think that's the great thing about just having these conversations is we all started somewhere. Mm-hmm. We've taken baby steps and we've added risk, but they've been calculated risk, and we've slowly just taken those steps. And now you've gotten to the point where you're closing over 1,000 deals, and you're like, oh, what if I can close 1,000? I can close 5,000. Mm-hmm. And I just love that, just mindset. Mm-hmm. So I just kudos to you on that. What do you see as far as I know we talked about just some changes that are going to be coming in the market just from based out of this. But, I don't know exactly how everything's going in Huntsville, but, we're all in shelter in place. Mm-hmm. So we're having to tool that a little bit differently.
Right.
As far as what are you really encouraging your agents to say, all right, because a lot of people are asking us, what's going to happen when we get on the other side of this? Mm-hmm. So what are you telling your folks about that?
Well, I think the closest similarity to this is 9/11. That was an event that was kind of nobody was expecting it. It just happened kind of like coronavirus did as well. And if you look at 9/11 in New York, sales dropped to a 40% level. But then over a 6-month period, all the sales that would typically happen in New York actually caught up and happened. And so month 1 was really slow, 40%. Month 2 started, still slow, a little bit better. But ultimately, around month 3, 4, and 5, you were having months that were above average, because of all that pent up demand. So I think that's a very real possibility as everybody gets back and working. There's a lot of stimulus bills out there. There's some very generous, unemployment type things. And so it looks like everybody's going to come out okay on the other side. But again, nobody really knows how long this will last. So I think the best, hypothesis I have is close to New York. I don't know if y'all know Stefan Swanepoel, a mentor of mine. I had him on my podcast. I'm about to release it on the Double Your, I'll have to do a shameless plug, a Double Your Real Estate Sales podcast. So that's coming out tomorrow. Yeah, Double Your Real Estate Sales.
Yeah.
So I interviewed Stefano, who's a mentor of mine, and he thinks his best guess, and I don't want to quote him, but best guess is sales are probably going to be down about 15%, but Q3 is going to be strong. Q4 he thinks is going to be amazing across the nation.
That's awesome. That's
Well,
good to hear. And
he
he's
has a lot of
so
research.
well respected.
Right.
So I love hearing what industry leaders are saying. I think the biggest thing is we've got to keep our folks encouraged, and we've got to keep them, engaged in what's going on. And, we get a lot of questions from the consumers and our clients saying, hey, do I need to put the house on the market now? Do I need to put it on later? And, every situation's different, but I'm still very optimistic about everything that's coming down the pipeline, what's going to happen, what's going on. We're just having to stay safe, and we're doing things a little bit differently, but I'm very excited about what's going to about to happen to our industry. So I'm very very optimistic.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like that week after Christmas. A lot of people have time off. They've been cooped up in their house all this time. They've been looking online at homes, and then they've got a week off before they go back to work. And so I think we're going to be in kind of that period, which is one reason why you probably want to put your home on the market, because everybody is looking right now. I'm looking at the analytics on our website, and there are definitely people out there searching right now.
Yes, they're at home. They are looking.
Yeah. and two, agents sometimes are scared to follow up with these, what we call relationships, leads, because somebody will say, well, why are you calling me during this time? Well, anytime you call web leads, you're going to get that every once in a while. And so it's, you just change your script. It's really checking in on people, because a lot of people are so lonely right now. They just want somebody to talk to. So just call them and say, hey, how are you doing? How's your family? You're all safe? They'll bring up real estate. Just check in on them as a human right now.
Yeah. Hey, for people that you're looking at growing your real estate team, what are some of the things that you look for in team members?
Good question. So a couple of things. One is we have some non-negotiables. Integrity really is at the top of that list. We've had to let go agents that were, could sell, but couldn't do it in a way of integrity. Because to us, all those 5-star reviews, you come on the team, you're kind of like a consumer of that. You benefit from it. Ultimately, we want you to be a producer as well, because if everybody else is providing 5-star service and you start getting us all these 1-stars, and that affects everybody. Patrick Lencioni, we borrowed something from one of his books, the Humble, Hungry, and Smart. Humble, hungry, and smart. So we look for people that are humble, because we do have a lot of success. We don't want it to go to their heads. We look for people that are hungry, that are driven. That's just one thing that you can't teach. I wish it was something that we could bottle up and sell, but you can't. And then when we say smart, we're not looking at, NASA engineer smart. We're looking at, people that are relationally smart. They know how to interact with people. So not everybody's going to be a 10 out of 10 in all three of those. But, if they're only a 10 out of 10 on one of the areas, then we probably got an issue.
Yeah. Do you like to bring in people that are seasoned, brand new, just in? Tell me about that.
We it's kind of 3 buckets. We bring in a lot of new agents because they don't have bad habits, and we can teach them fresh. So that's been very, very successful for us, because we have the training program and the resources to do that. We also like agents that have been in the business 2 years or less, where they've done a few transactions. They won't get spoiled by what we provide them, like maybe a new agent could sometimes. They realize the tools that are given. And then, sometimes a quicker learning curve because they've done it before. So we really like those type of agents. And then every once in a while we'll land, an amazing, agent that's already, been selling 50, 60 homes per year and wants to start selling 80, 90, or 100, and work less. So we target a few of those as well.
That's awesome.
How many agents?
Well, I know we're about running out of time, Genny.
Right.
So,
how many agents are in Huntsville?
That's a good question. Over a couple thousand. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head.
I was thinking it's
almost 3,000.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, that's about where I was thinking.
It's been hard to keep up. There's been so many joining every single month.
Right, us too. We have so many.
I think that's going to slow down.
Yeah. Well, how about this? This might be a good final question. What would you recommend to somebody that's just getting their real estate license?
Oh yeah. So the big thing that I always recommend to people is, I found a formula to double your income every 2 years. And so everybody always asks me, what is that formula? And it's basically something I learned. There was a study out of one of the universities in California, super simple, but it's not really easy to do. And so basically what that is you read or basically learn, listen to a webinar like this, listen to a podcast like my Double Your Real Estate Sales, take a mentor to lunch, read an hour a day in your chosen profession. That's all you got to do.
That's it.
And then go out and apply it. You'll have plenty of ideas to double your income every 2 years. And you look at the growth of our company, we hit a little bit of a slow down, for a year or two. And it was because I stopped investing in myself. And then when I started doing that again, we've continued to double every 2 years.
Wow.
Well, and where again can people go to hear your podcast?
Yeah, well, thank you. So Double Your Real Estate Sales, doubleyourrealestatesales.com. You can find
it in the notes.
You can find us on iTunes. If you like what you listen to, you like this, please give us a 5-star review. iTunes, and then we'll be launching on YouTube as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've gotten so many nuggets from today already. So thank you so much for taking your time and to be with us.
Well, thanks for having me.
Sure.
You all do a great job providing back to the community. And anytime you'd like to have me on, I'll be happy to come on.
Well, thank you so much. And Gusty, thanks for joining us today too.
Yeah, you bet.